Good morning you guys, it's Karen and I'm here to do a Garden of Wisdom empties and fails, and these are the very 5 products that I showed you in the haul and review. So you're probably thinking that wasn't that long ago, and you would be right, it was only a month ago. Firstly, I use a lot of product. I am somebody that likes to use a lot, so I know that there will be people going, you use too much. I know I use too much. I enjoy using a lot of product, and on some of these I feel like I used the right amount, and on some of them I definitely overused it because I was wanting to move on to other things. So I'll talk about that as we go through it. First one to talk about is the Niacinamide Serum, and I could definitely have made this last longer because you only need a tiny amount of this. I always found that I used too much. It is definitely in my nature to use a lot of product, and like I said, I'm happy with doing that, but that does mean that sometimes I've got too much product left over. So I would often use 2 pumps of this and I would put it on my face and neck and be left over with product and go, oh, once again I've used too much. And so I would just put it all over my hands and sometimes like right up my arms because you only needed a tiny amount of this. So I could have made this last at least another month, probably 3 months. So I definitely used too much of this, but this isn't something that I was particularly trying to make last a long time. It's something that I enjoyed okay. It's not going to be a repurchase for me. It wasn't a complete fail. It didn't ball up as much as other niacinamide serums have done for me. It's probably the least balling up I've found in any niacinamide serums. It wasn't a luxurious feeling product at all. It was just functional for me. It was okay. It felt you know, it dried pretty quickly. It felt okay going on. It didn't feel particularly luxurious or anything. It just felt functional, but it did pill and ball up with oils if I used any oils with it, which I was using quite a lot of oils for most of the time I was using this. So it did ball up to an extent. And as I've mentioned in other videos, I do like using my Freederm, which is a spot gel, as my niacinamide. That's the one I found that I enjoy the most. The Freederm does have a little bit of alcohol in it, and it's low on the list, which means that wouldn't be my holy grail niacinamide serum to use, but this hasn't replaced it. Certainly this was okay to use. It was pretty nice, but it wouldn't be a repurchase for me. Next is the Retinol 1% serum. This is one that I do think I was using the right amount. I would use about 2 pumps of this, and that would cover my face and neck, and I would have no excess product left, and you know, that would be it would sink in nicely. There wouldn't be any excess, you know, I wouldn't be left rubbing for ages. So I think that was the right amount. So this has lasted me a month, and this was a very nice product. It made my skin feel very smooth. The only thing I didn't like, and still don't like, I've just checked it there is a very dusty, musty smell to it, which isn't very pleasant. But other than that, felt really nice. Skin felt lovely afterwards, no irritation. But as I pointed out, it is only a 0.5% retinol, so it's not a 1% retinol. And so I'm not about to repurchase this. I would consider repurchasing it, but what would put me off would be the musty smell. What I have repurchased instead is the La Roche-Posay Ardemic R. And that has, I think, about 0.5% retinol in it. And that one is just much more, you get the same smooth, silky feeling on your skin, but it's got a nicer scent. But with the La Roche-Posay one is much more expensive, but it is available, you know, to walk into Boots and buy. So it's not an online one where you have to pay postage. And I have heard from a few people commenting on my videos that they have had problems with Victoria Health, whereby they've ordered something from the Garden of Wisdom, never received it, and haven't had great customer service. I haven't experienced that myself. I have only had good customer service, but I haven't come across a problem. You know, I've never yet been in a situation where I haven't received something, and so haven't seen how they have dealt with that. And like I said, there's been 2 or 3 people have commented that they've had an issue and it hasn't been dealt with well. So anyway, that's nothing to do with this specifically. In fact, I think they were talking about the vitamin C. I just did a quick check price wise because I was thinking, would I actually reorder this? Because this is £9, but if I was just ordering this item, then I'd pay the postage, which is £3, so that would make this £12. And like I said, it's only lasted a month, and I definitely didn't overuse this one. But my Redermic R by La Roche-Posay, this lasts me about 2 to 3 months, I would say, and this is £30. But if you think, if I was ordering that and only that from the website, that would cost me £36 for 3 months. So I know you could say, well, I could order 3 bottles of it in one go, and then it wouldn't be as expensive because you wouldn't be paying the 3 lots of postage, and I could maybe order other things from the website. But, you know, just in terms of a like-for-like comparison, this has actually got 40ml in it, this has got 30ml in it. I mean, we don't know exactly how much retinol is in here, but I do prefer this formula, and I think I'm more likely to repurchase this than I am to repurchase this one, because although it made my skin feel lovely, like I said, the formula is just not lovely to smell, and I prefer to have something that's going to last me a little bit longer than a month. So I do really like the packaging on these. I think I said that when I bought them. I do really enjoy the packaging. I did find, some people asked me, did you find that it just sort of goes everywhere? And I did sometimes find that, you know, like I would be sitting with my hand like this and pumping it. Oh, there was a little bit left in that. I often find that. And exactly like you saw there, instead of it going into my hand, sometimes it would go into my hand and sometimes it would go across there. You know, they're nice, it's nice packaging, but sometimes a bit unreliable as to where the pump is actually going to go. On to the anti-aging multi-peptide serum. This I definitely use too much, and I knowingly use too much, because this is something, this probably could have lasted 3 months, because you need the tiniest amount, and that would, you know, you could just do a little half a pump and that would probably cover your face and neck. And I actually really enjoyed this towards the end of using it. I was like, actually, this is making my skin feel really nice. And it's funny because the reason I was knowingly using too much is because I knew I was going to be using the amino acids from The Ordinary, and you know, there's always things coming out that I want to try, and I didn't really believe, I'm not really into peptides. There's something that I wouldn't mind, I don't mind them being in my routine, but I don't mind them being in my routine. That's about it. I don't expect any miracles from peptides. I'm just not really a believer, I guess you could say. But I know that they will bring moisture to my skin, and they can make my skin feel lovely. And that's exactly what this did. It did make my skin feel lovely. But that's because of, you know, the moisture that they will provide. I don't believe that there will be any anti-aging effect from them, and I didn't test it out and do before and after pictures or anything, because I'm using so many products at the moment. The only thing I am testing out is the, you know, the tretinoin flooding on my eyes for hooded eyes. But I knew already that I was never going to pay again £20, because I did buy this all myself. I was never going to repurchase this little bottle for £20. But the only thing I would say is, if you really do want to use a peptide, when I first showed this, I was saying to you that it was expensive because it was £20, and that you could buy less expensive ones from The Ordinary, because they've got lots of peptides of different levels and of different mixtures, and you can buy a lot less expensive ones from them. But what I would say is, although it's £20, it's very, very slippy and silky, and like I said, you need the tiniest amount and it will go all over your face and neck, and so this bottle would last you a long time. And it is a nice mix of peptides if you really want to use a peptide. But for me personally, I would just find a nice moisturizer, but it did feel very nice. I've nothing bad to say about it. It's just, I personally wouldn't spend £20 on that, so it's not a repurchase for me. Next is the Prickly Pear, Pure Prickly Pear Seed Oil, and this, there's quite a lot left. This is, I guess you would say, a fail. It's up to about there, and it's a fail because, let me see if it's the same smell as that retinol, because of the smell. Yeah, it's pretty much the same smell. Let me compare them. Oh, no, it's not quite as bad. The retinol is not quite as bad. This has just got such an unpleasant smell to me that I could not keep using it. As an oil, it's lovely, and it felt really nice when I used it the following day, and even after using it, once I'd got rid of all the balling up that all my skincare had done, my skin felt lovely, and it really did give me smooth skin, took away any dry patches, all of that. It's a great oil, but the smell is just awful. It's like dust mixed with gone off fruit. That's what it smells like to me, and it isn't one that I got used to. It's really interesting to me how you can get accustomed to some smells. You know, like you guys know, I hated the rosehip oil when I got it. I detested it. It smelled like fish. I detested the argan oil. It smelled like cow poo to me. But after a few days of using it, I couldn't smell anything at all. This just seems to have got stronger. The more I used it, the stronger the smell was, and I couldn't abide it. I just couldn't have it near me. And so that is a big fail for me. But not only that, using it, it balled up with every single thing I used. I would end up, and I'd try and sort of, you know, press it in and leave things to dry or not leave them to dry, because there's different advices out there that you're not leaving it long enough between each one, and other ones say no, put everything on immediately and mix them all together. And I tried it all sorts of different ways, and it would just ball everything up, and I'd just spend ages. And Kev was like, what are you doing? That is gross, you know, because I was sitting there like that. I'd have a piece of tissue there, and I was sitting like getting all these little balls of, oh, it was horrible. It was just horrible. So I did not enjoy the experience of using this. But like I said, once I'd got all those little balls of skin off, it really was a lovely oil. It felt beautiful on my skin, and the only way I could really use it is if I used my micellar water and then used this and nothing else. You know, maybe I could put a night cream on top of it and that would be about it. But I don't want to do that. You know, I want to use serums and different products underneath it, and it just didn't work well with anything else I used. So between that and, like I said, the scent, it just was a big fail for me. So I will probably put this in one of those cuticle oil pens I've got and use it on my cuticles so as not to waste it. But for my face, no. I know that is something you can use in your hair as well, but I don't want that scent anywhere near my hair. In fact, I probably won't use it on my cuticles, because then I'll get the scent as I'm moving my hands around and be like, what's that smell? So I don't know what I'll do with it. I might well just throw it away, which is just a real shame, because I know that it is a really good oil. Finally, the one everybody's been waiting for probably is the vitamin C 23% with ferulic acid. I really like the way this feels. I really like the feeling of it. Let's see if there's any left. Tiny few bits. I don't feel like I used too much of this one, and it has lasted the month. So I think this will last you about a month, and it's £10, which I think is a good price for this. It tingled when I first used it, as you know, as I talked about in my haul and review. But the more I used this, the more tingly it became. And so I was starting to get aware of that and thinking, you know, if it gets any more tingly than it is, it will start to become uncomfortable. And that can happen. A skincare can sensitize you to it. You know, you can become sensitized to a particular ingredient. And so I am kind of wary of that. It sat well under most of my skincare. I did sometimes feel like it was causing some of my skincare to ball up. Whereas most people have said that they didn't have that problem. So that could just be the combinations I was using. I used it sometimes at night, sometimes in the morning. That's something that I think has confused a lot of people, and it's something I talked about over a year ago in one of my videos on ascorbic acid. I mentioned that using it at night was a good idea, and I think there's arguments for using it in the morning and at night, because at night, through the night, your skin, you know, repairs and whatnot, and the sun damage that has happened during the day is continuing through the night. And so putting vitamin C on at night, if it does any repair, we're still waiting for the bona fide evidence, but if it does repair that damage, then it's good to put it on at night. It will continue the repairing process throughout the night. During the day, you could say that, you know, the sun is going to break down the vitamin C and it's going to be useless, but you could also say it will support your SPF. You know, there's lots of reasons for using it both ways. And so I think at £10, why not use it in the morning and at night if you can figure it into your routine somehow. And so I've used it both ways. I've just kind of looked at what I'm using at any particular time and used it when I felt I could. You know, I've used it when it fit in. I like this better than I do the Skin Deva vitamin C and ferulic acid, which is good because this one is cheaper. I I like it much better than the vitamin C 23%, that's for sure. I don't like it better than the vitamin C 30% in silicone. However, this one I believe would be more effective. I like the feeling of this one better than the ethylated vitamin C from The Ordinary, but I believe the ethylated vitamin C from The Ordinary would be a more effective way of getting vitamin C into your skin. It's a tricky one. I personally don't know what I'm going to do vitamin C wise going forward. And I've always said that vitamin C for me isn't an essential part of my routine because I'm still not 100% sure that what it's doing for me. The evidence isn't there. If the evidence was there, I think I would want to use the ethylated vitamin C, which is expensive from The Ordinary. It's £18 and it isn't my favourite feeling formula. Like I said, my favourite feeling formula is the silicone one from The Ordinary. And that one is probably the least efficient, if you like. You know, that one, it's unlikely that much of that is actually getting through. But I feel like that one has the most effect on my pores, and not just because of the silicone, because the effect lasts after the silicone. You know, it doesn't just last on the day I put it on, it lasts even if I don't wear it for a couple of days. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. It is definitely a possibility that I would repurchase this one, but I'm not going to rush out and repurchase it just now. I'm using up my ethylated vitamin C. I think I've then still got some 30% in silicone to use up, and I've still got some of the powder to use up as well. So I'll use all of those and see if there's anything new out at that point and decide, you know, what I'm going to do going forward. But if you are looking for vitamin C, this is definitely well formulated, and just be aware of that tingling, that this isn't 100% doesn't irritate. You know, it is well formulated, it is a good pH, etc., but it doesn't mean it won't irritate you at all. If you've got sensitive skin, be wary, because I have now just recently read some reports of people that are being irritated by this, so be aware of that. But it is a really good one. Okay, so that's everything from the Garden of Wisdom. So not a glowing review, I guess, but a lot of that is just my personal choice, you know, as in I don't like the smell, or I don't believe in the hype, I guess. I guess if I had to say my standouts, the vitamin C is a good one. I liked how the anti-aging peptide feels. So if you really want a peptide, this is a good one. There's nothing wrong with the Niacinamide Serum. It just, for me, I don't like the pilling. The Retinol serum is good, I just don't like the smell. And the prickly pear seed oil is good, I just don't like the smell and or the balling up. You know, there's nothing major wrong with any of these. I'm still tempted to try their azelaic acid in one sense, but in another I'm not, because I don't currently have any issues that could be addressed by the azelaic acid, and I've, you know, got quite a few things I'm layering already, and I really love the Ordinary azelaic acid, so it would be difficult to top that. Just looking at the website there's a few things I would consider in the future when my things have run out, so like maybe the mandelic acid or maybe the glycolic acid serum, stuff like that. But the only thing that I'm really curious about just now is the daily hydrator. So I don't know, let me know if you've got any favourites, and that might sort of push me over the edge to order a few things. Let me know what you're enjoying just now. I'll give you a quick rundown of what I am wearing on my face. I've got the Lancome Teinte Idole Ultra Foundation on. On my eyes is the MAC Tan Pigment. On my cheeks is the Glossier Cloud Paint in Haze. On my lips is the Colourpop liquid lipstick in Aquarius 2, but on top of it I've got the Clarins Instant Light Natural Lip Perfector in 03. It's here. These earrings are from H&M, I got them in the sale, and this top is from Milk Velvet, and I think that's everything. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll speak to you again soon.